these big tech words that I don't understand. A post-smartphone era. Walk me through what that actually means, Gene.
So the current smartphone is a touchscreen, and a post-smartphone world is going to be a smartphone that's going to be empowered by augmented reality, but eventually morph into some form of a wearable. And so that's that decade. That's why Tim Cook was making such a big point about this is a big change. They've obviously been talking a ton about AR, not only on earnings calls, but Johnny Ive yesterday had some comments about it too. So that's what a post-smartphone world is all about. It's really this shift to augmented reality, some form of a wearable.
Well, Gene, what's that going to look like? And I won't say in 10 years, say, because over the last 10 years, the actual iPhone and what it looks like hasn't changed radically. So what am I going to be wearing in the next couple of years?
Well, it's going to be your phone probably for the next 5+ years. Really, the phone's going to be around in 10 years. We have a model that goes out 10 years. It's just a guess upon a guess, but we expect that the iPhone is going to be somewhere around 30% of Apple's business in a decade. But we think some form of a wearable, we're calling it Apple Glass, is probably going to be something like 40% of their revenue. And so what does it look like? It's going to look like glasses that 50+% of people in the U.S. wear every day. And so there's a lot around that, and I would just point people to a recent important acquisition that Apple did that does eye tracking, and the only reason why they would do that acquisition is to enable this some form of a wearable.
So we had Google Glass and it didn't work out. Was it just ahead of its time? Is that really what we're looking at?
Essentially, the reason why Google Glass didn't work is when we think about ahead of its time, I think about the utility of it. It wasn't there. It was clumsy. People thought it was awkward. But at the end of the day, people would have powered through that social awkwardness if it really had a compelling experience behind it. So one of the brilliant things that Apple's doing here is they're just inching us along this path to have some form of a wearable that actually gives you utility. And one of the ways they do that is they come out with ARKit, which is this platform that allows developers to build AR applications. And then they start building in some of the things like this 3D sensing camera on the iPhone 10. And then they start to shift to a form of a wearable. And so they're moving on a much more gradual path where Google Glass was a little bit of a shock to people.